Hello and welcome to Animal Action TV. My name's Aldwyn Altuney, and it is with great pleasure today that we are chatting with one of my very good friends, Lynn Santer. She is the writer and producer of Land of the Free, and we are going to be talking about how the wealthiest men on earth are bypassing legal and moral objections, killing endangered wildlife, and what we can do about it. Lynn is a celebrity author based on the Gold Coast who has written over 50 books. She's also spent much time working with big cats in Africa as well as celebrity friends in Hollywood and political dignitaries in London to help promote the cause to prevent the wholesale slaughter of these precious animals. So if you can please give a big round of applause to Lynn Santer. Hello, Lynn.
Hello, and thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and it really is fantastic to have you with us, and I know you've done a lot of work in this area. So can you just let us know a little bit about how you got started with big cat conservation and why this is so dear to your heart?
Well, I suppose it really goes back to childhood when my father was working in the pharmaceutical industry, ironically enough. I say ironically because he was conducting medical research in Africa, and he was a mad keen amateur cameraman. And when he would go on his professional missions to Africa, he would take a very small suitcase of clothes and a very large suitcase of Super 8 camera gear, as it was at the time. And in the attic of our London home, he actually had built a cinema. So from a very small age, I was watching David Attenborough-style documentaries that my own father had made about the mysterious and magical and magnificent dark continent of Africa. And of course, I became mesmerized by it. And as I grew, I asked lots more questions what he was doing over there. And we had a lot of philosophical discussions about the greater good and animal research. I mean, back then there weren't the options that there are today to research into medical developments. But I became hooked on the continent, hooked on the wildlife. And then as I grew further and learned about the demise of these animals, I just made it my life's mission to do everything that I could to become involved, to try and protect them, to stop unethical and illegal and immoral practices, which are dwindling their numbers dramatically. And then over the course of the decades, I came to know very well and proud to call among my friends Virginia McKenna, OBE, who was the star of the immortal classic Born Free, and who has been running the Born Free Foundation in the UK for 40, 50 years, and Tippi Hedren, who was the star of the immortal classic Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, and who has been running a big cat sanctuary in America for over 40 years. As well as very senior politicians such as Sir Roger Gale, who I think has been a politician for nearly that length of time as well. He actually won his original seat from Cherie Blair, Tony Blair's wife. That was before Tony was Prime Minister, and has held it ever since, and has been Vice Chairman of the Tory Party and Chairman of the all-party group on animal welfare, and was the man responsible for getting fox hunting banned in the UK. And between these people, we've travelled the world. We've fought and won many cases. We've fought and are still fighting many others. And then came the Land of the Free mission. Now, would you like me to keep going, or would you like me to ask you a question on that one?
Yes, Land of the Free. Please tell us about that.
Well, this was back in 2001. When Tippi, who was already my friend by then, was coming out to Australia to front a big cat event that I was holding at Jupiter's Casino. And in the background of organising this event, I received a call for help from a lady called Meryl Harrison. Now, Meryl was then the Chief Inspector with the Zimbabwe SPCA and struggling to pay her phone bill. And she had sent a call for help to anyone who was anyone in big cat and wildlife conservation around the world, because what had happened was a group called Safari Club International. Now, this is the largest hunting group in the world. had been bribing and cajoling foreign governments to overturn bans that they had seen fit to put in place on protecting their endangered species. And why? Because these men get their rocks off by brutalizing endangered game. The way these men, and I'll tell you in a moment who some of these men are, the way these men rise in status in this club is to kill the rarest animal they can find by the most unusual method they can think of. It is obscene, it is barbaric, it is savage, and even other hunters object to it. But this is a very prestigious, very wealthy, very politically powerful group who include among its members, and these names I'm about to tell you that you can Google, it's public knowledge, are among the signatories from Safari Club to the country of Botswana, which they petitioned for 5 years relentlessly until Botswana finally overcame. So we are including former President George H. Bush, former Senator Dan Quayle, the late General Norman Schwarzkopf, and a billionaire who I may tell you a bit more about a bit later, by the name of Ken Barron. But to get back to Merrill, the leopard numbers had just dropped so dangerously low in Zimbabwe, and not just leopard, other animals as well. She just wanted somebody to bring this to world attention because these men managed to fly under the radar. You will recall, I'm sure, the case of Cecil the Lion in 2015, where the dentist Walter Palmer famously, or I should say infamously, lured a rare black-maned lion out of the sanctuary and shot him with a bow and barbed arrow, which is one of the favourite tools of these people. And this poor, trusting creature took 40 hours to die. Now, there was saturation media coverage about this around the world, but never once did you hear he was a member of Safari Club International, which is why he was after a rare animal and why he was killing it by an unusual method. This just flies under the radar. So anyway, back in 2001, when Merrill contacted me, I thought, what on earth can a little girl working from a spare bedroom on the Gold Coast of Australia do? And I stopped everything I was doing that day and I walked around the house and I mulled and I kicked pieces of furniture and I got very frustrated and I said, no, I am not going to do what I know everybody else is going to do and say this is just too overwhelming, it's too big, I'm too small, I can't make a difference. Everyone can make a difference. And there are many ways many people can do this, from the tiniest things to the biggest things, although I've never been one to think small. So in my case, I said to myself, no, I'm going to find a way to make this happen. So I went and found myself some ex-Special Forces commandos, as one does if one's living in a James Bond film. And I went to them and I explained to them what the mission was, which was to go undercover with these hunters to get visual and documented evidence of what was happening, who was doing it, how it was happening, and everything else we needed to expose this story. And I said to one of them, before you take the case, you know, I need to know, are you hunters yourselves? And he looked me straight in the eye and said, I will have you know, I have never shot anything but a human in my life. And I went, okay, not really quite sure how to take that, but fine. Yeah. So I then contacted Merrill, told her what I was doing, told her Tippi Hedren was coming out from Australia, brought her out from Africa, and behind the glitz and glamour of this big high-profile event, Tippi, Merrill and myself, now collectively known as the Three Musketeers, were having covert meetings with these guys about this mission, which we undertook, and it took us 5 years and many death threats before we finally got the story out in 2006. Which we did on ABC America and Nine Network Australia. But of course, social media wasn't what it is today back in 2006. So it made a big furor at the time. And then everybody forgot it. And the film you can find on YouTube if you search Land of the Free and my name, Lynn Santer, and you'll find actually two different videos. One I put together, and one is the Channel 9 ABC story with Tippy, with Meryl, with the commandos. With the evidence. It's quite disturbing and illuminating footage. So we did the mission, we got the evidence, we did the media, we put a mini documentary together, and we made a big fuss, and then everybody forgot about it. And I said, well, this isn't good enough. So then I wrote a dramatized, slightly fictionalized version of, you know, how the embattled commando, the Hollywood celebrity, and the flashy socialite joined forces with ex-special forces commandos. You know, it's a good Hollywood story, just happens to be true in this case. And launched a book with Tippy in Hollywood. And after that, you know, the book was quite successful, and again, another bit of a stir. And then it all went quiet again. And then, of course, with the tragic demise of Cecil in 2015, and social media being far more powerful by then, a lot more people were starting to take interest. So I went back to Hollywood in 2015 and attended the Emmys that year with one of my now production partners, James Ganea from Rio Vista Universal, in an outfit that was made for me by a mutual friend of ours here on the Gold Coast, Rio London, depicting Cecil all the way across this caftan with massive lettering in memory of Cecil. And I will tell you here and now, that outfit got photographed more than the Emmy winners. I mean, that was a place to make a statement and to attract attention for our project, which I did. Still a lot of powerful and wealthy opposition to us getting this film off the ground, which is why we're still struggling with it even today, believe it or not. And that's despite people like Priscilla Presley coming on board as executive producer. And thanks to my friend Sir Roger Gale in London, and this is something I've never said publicly before, so you're hearing it for the first time publicly.
Great.
Roger helped me get a letter from Kensington Palace, which I have under lock and key, which says that Prince William and Prince Harry have both agreed to have their name and likenesses used in a particular part of the feature film, which we hope we will get made this year, along with attributable quotes they have made on this issue, because everybody thinks about poaching, which is terrible, of course. But what I'm talking about is legal. Let me say that again. It is legal, and it flies under the radar, and it flies under the media, and the wealthiest, most powerful men on earth are part of this group, and that's why it stays quiet. So you can imagine we're going to have a lot of opposition to getting this film made, and there are even more high-profile names today than those that I mentioned, who are obviously sort of part of the past limelight when we started this in 2001. My goodness, 16 years ago we started the journey for this film. So yes, it's been quite a battle, and the club has only gone from strength to strength, I'm very sad to say. But money begets money, and we have got some pretty powerful names on our side too. But as I mentioned over and over and over again, it's all about money, and without money backing the project, you know, at least even in this development stage, it won't get off the ground. So we're looking for brave people to come and join what is, you know, we've got a powerful group of people on our side too, but anyone who joins this party will have to have a very sturdy constitution.
Well, yeah, all the support helps, and you know, Land of the Free, there is some really full-on footage in there, like the dogs, you know, the dogs being used to attack which type of tiger was it? Or
there's several layers of cruelty in this. I mean, number one, I mean, we object to all hunting, of course, but we know we're not going to stop all hunting. We'd love to, but you know, let's step by step, every inch, you know, makes up the mile, every drop makes up the ocean. So There is the method of hunting. So I've already mentioned bows and barbed arrows. They also
Yes.
use handguns without proficiency tests. So there are the ways they actually dispatch the wild game themselves is one level of cruelty. Another level of cruelty is how they lure the wild game out of, in Cecil's case, you know, a protected sanctuary. They do this with live bait, donkeys, goats alive, tied to trees, sometimes for days, while scavengers are nibbling at them before the trophy animal takes the lure. That's the second layer of cruelty. The third layer of cruelty is using packs of hounds, which is cruel to the hounds and to the wildlife, but these hounds are trained with electric shock collars, so there's another layer of cruelty. And that's even before we get into this very brave practice of can hunting, which is shooting the animal while it's captive in a trap, or drugged hunting, where somebody will go find the animal, drug it, and let it loose for, you know, big, brave white American hunter to go and bag and think he's like, look, what have I done? He's only done it because the poor animal's drugged out of its mind. So there's layer upon layer upon layer of cruelty here, which, as I said, even other, if I can call them regular, normal, I hesitate to use the words, hunters, they object to. And it's all about money, and it's all about prestige, and it is absolutely barbaric. And in generations to come, when unfortunately these men won't be here to see the shame that they have brought upon themselves and their families, we will look back on this in shame, because the tide is moving that way, but far too slowly, and it needs a major motion picture, which this will be, you know, along the lines of Born Free meets Mission Impossible, which is the genre we're developing the story in, to make an impact. Because today a film like that, with social media being the power that it is, and with the movements that are occurring around the world, without putting too fine a point on all of that, it will make an impact. It will. And there are ways people can then do something about it. I mean, in the first instance, it's money. We need money to get the development fund, money to get the film off the ground. But once we name and shame these people in a way that will have a lasting impact, people are going to do what I did. How can I, one little person, have an impact against these wealthy, mighty, powerful people? Well, here's how. When you know who they are, you don't buy from their companies. You don't vote for them when they run for office. And when every one person doesn't buy that product and doesn't vote for that person, every drop makes up the ocean, and that company goes bankrupt and that person doesn't win power. And that is a language they understand. And that is how every single smallest, most insignificant individual, as they may see themselves, I don't, nobody's small or insignificant, can and must make a difference. But we're only going to do it if we get the message out there so people understand what the issue is, who's doing it, and how they can be empowered to help.
It's absolutely horrific to think what's happening with these big cats, and you know they are endangered, aren't they? What's the status of the
they
big
are
cats?
critically endangered. Some species more than others, but they are all endangered. And one of the things we're going to do on this film is a ticking clock, the number of species, creatures in the wild in a particular species going down as you're watching the film.
Wow, that's full on. And there's actually places in Africa, I believe, where they actually breed cats to shoot. Is that right?
Yeah. Many places. In America too. Doesn't just happen.
Yeah, yeah. And your good friend Tippi Hedren, she's got a big cat reserve called Shamballa in LA. And
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit about Shamballa and what the great work that they do?
Well, Shamballa has got an interesting beginning, which I know you know about because you've done an interview with the beautiful Tippi. But today, it's sort of a two-pronged approach. One is Tippi tirelessly campaigns to get laws changed because, of course, in America it's still legal to have exotic wildlife as pets. It's still legal to breed them and inbreed them and use big cats as guard dogs. Lots of drug lords have big cats as guard dogs. Texas is the nemesis of, well, everything, but particularly where hunting and animal abuse is concerned, they're kind of the centre of the universe, and they've always been the ones who blocked legislation. So she's campaigning to get various forms of legislation changed, so to stop private ownership, to stop certain kinds of breeding, and so on and so forth. And then on the other hand, she's got this sanctuary where animals that have come from abuse or from private facilities that have closed down, or other circumstances, like when Michael Jackson had to close Neverland, for example, she will take these big cats in and give them what she calls a happy ever after. So they get to live in dignity and in relative freedom, large open spaces, with companions for the rest of their natural days. So it's a two-pronged approach, Shamballa. And obviously, Tiffany's involved with me in this project, and in fact will be playing herself in the film.
Fantastic. Wow, that sounds really exciting. So how much money is needed to get this off the ground?
Well, not the whole production budget, which, you know, would probably be in the vicinity of 50 million. Ironically, that's kind of the easy part. The hard part is what's called development funds, and development funds are what needed to get the film script polished, because, as you know, that your readers won't, I suffered a major setback in the last 12 months with nerve damage in my arm, so I'm no longer capable of doing what is necessary to get the script polished myself, although obviously I will be acting as consultant, and there are many other ways I will be involved with the script development. But we need an A-list writer to polish up the screenplay. We need a line manager to flush out the production budget. We need to take location scouting groups to spec out the locations where we're going to film. We need to put deposits down on the cast and the crew. So that's what's called development funds. And you need, you know, around 200,000 US to get all of that in place. So that's what we're looking for in the first instance. Now, having said that, I've probably put in over $250,000 over the last 16 years, including the undercover mission and various trips I've made, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I've already put in that amount myself, but we need probably another 200,000 US to get it to a point where now we're ready, here we go, we can attract everything we need to get the rest of the production budget in, because we've got people lined up to do that once we get the little stuff in place, which is what's so frustrating at the moment, and away we go, and we have to make an impact which will literally change the world, and we all believe that it will, which is why we've stuck with it this long.
It's amazing how powerful films can be, and how they really can shift perception. And sometimes you really need to shock people to get them to act on something. Yeah. As like the Earthlings DVD that I saw, which inspired Animal Action Day, the world's first Animal Action Day, which you've been at all except one in the last 10 years. And that's because I was horrified at what I saw in the Earthlings DVD, or partly, and then I did a landmark course that put the program together. But yeah, sometimes, you know, people say, oh, I can't watch that kind of stuff, it's really hard to watch. But if you do watch it, you know, you will be inspired to take action, because it is.
I'll put that another way. If the people who care don't watch it, who does it leave?
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah, well, that's right. So, yeah.
Watching this footage a lot of times before I didn't burst out crying when I saw it, because that just wasn't useful. But yeah, it is tough to watch. But if you don't watch it, if you're not shocked, who does it leave? The people who don't give a damn. Is that what you want? You know? Grow a pair, man up, and make a difference if you care.
Yeah, exactly. So I would love to see this off the ground. And have you got a crowdfunding campaign or something? How can people donate money for the cause?
I don't have it up and running yet, but if people are interested in getting involved in a crowdfunding campaign, they can go to my website, which is lynnsanter.com, to the films in production page, where you'll see a few films, including this one, and you'll find the YouTubes of it as well. And you can contact me through that, or you can just email me at lynn@lynnsanter.com, and I'll connect you with the right people. I mean, any early expressions of interest are obviously going to get preferential treatment in terms of, you know, red carpet premiere tickets and signed scripts by everybody who's involved and that sort of thing. Anyone who's first cab off the rank, you know, we'll look after them if they look after us, and we have many ways of doing that.
Yeah, fantastic. So people power can overcome this. I mean, it's just so inhumane that this is actually legal. You know, it's disgusting.
It's legal. It is actually legal. Everyone said, oh, not another anti-poaching film. Well, it is not another anti-poaching film. It is nothing to do with poaching at all. This is legal.
And this is they do this for fun. This is, you know,
Absolutely.
these hunters.
It's not about protection. It's not about feeding yourself. It is purely about prestige and status and fun. It's men, you know, who have no other way of feeling like men, and sadly, a growing number of women too.
You know, if someone went out to these hunters and said, oh, I'm just going to go and shoot your children just for fun, you know, they might think a little bit differently, but they don't think of these animals as children, as part of a family, as, you know, they just think they're commodities just to be used for their own sick enjoyment. It's absolutely disgusting. And
they do see them as precisely commodities. And it was Elsa, the lioness from the immortal film Born Free, in which my very good friend Virginia McKenna starred as Joy Adamson, which began to change that, because prior to the world learning about Elsa, people really didn't understand that animals had a name, a face, a personality, likes, dislikes, sensitivities. But these people in these hunting groups clearly still don't accept that. And oh my God, the number of wildlife I've got to know on a personal, individual personality basis, even the birds in my back garden, they've all got individual personalities and likes and dislikes and foibles, idiosyncrasies and peculiarities. They're just people with 4 legs or feathers. They really are.
yes.
And yeah, these people do not see it that way at all.
Yeah, because they're not connected. It's all, you know, the world's run by sociopaths and psychopaths, and no doubt some of these wealthiest people in the world are exactly that. And so they have no compassion,
yes,
and no feeling towards other beings, full stop.
Well,
And,
I mentioned much earlier this billionaire Ken Baring, and again, I'm not talking out of school. We've already exposed the man. And we have footage of one of the animals he shot with a bow and barbed arrow standing there quivering in agony and terror before it died. It's unbelievable, horrendous footage. And because this particular animal was so endangered, it was that high on the CITES list that even in America, which is a trophy and hunting society, it could not be imported as a trophy pelt. But he wanted his head on the wall because he wanted his gold star and his rocks off at his, you know, yah boys meeting. There's not only boys these days. The next time he went to the safari club. So get this man donated 100 million American dollars to the Smithsonian Institute, which should be above reproach, who could import the pelt under the guise of research, and that is what happened. And of course, guess where it ended up then? So we're talking about Merrill, who couldn't pay her phone bill, versus a man who is prepared to throw 100 million American dollars down the drain to put a head on the wall. It's a real David and Goliath battle.
yeah, wow, that's crazy, on his wall. But, you know, if enough people stand up and say this is unacceptable, this is crazy, then I do believe in the power of one. And I think in informing people, as we're doing right now, as more people become aware of this, they can join the fight to help stop it and do things like fund your film. What are some other things people can do out there if they see, like, for example, say someone sees a big cat that's being used as a pet, maybe. So it's legal in America. Is it legal anywhere else to have a big cat as a pet?
Well, I'm sure there are other places in the world, certainly not in Australia, I'm happy to say. And you will notice now that circuses using exotic animals are beginning to close as well, finally. And that is people power. So, yes, you report it, you stories to the media. I mean, if there is an animal you think is being held as an illegal pet, well, contact me. I'm not sure something's done about that. Not a problem. I know the right people pretty much everywhere on the planet, no matter where that's happening, to do something about that. Get in touch with me if you're able to help out with the film in any way, shape or form, financially at this point, but, you know, at any level. And make contact with the Born Free Foundation in the UK. make contact with Shamballa.org in the USA. And yeah, there's people I can connect you with pretty much everywhere, depending what level of interest you have in getting involved.
That's great. So there are a lot of groups that can help, and no doubt a lot of Facebook pages, for example. Really share on your social media. Once we get this crowdfunding campaign set up, no doubt, Lynn, you'll be promoting it all over your website and on social media as well. So connect with Lynn Santer on her social media as well, so that you can stay in touch with that. And by sharing that crowdfunding campaign, who knows what we can achieve. But definitely that would be a very powerful film. And it's about time the world woke up to this and what's really happening. I think a lot of people really don't realise that this kind of cruelty has been going on for generations in very sick families like the Bush family, who somehow the Bush family was running America for so long. How the hell that happened, I don't know. But anyway, thank goodness they're not there anymore, but we won't get into politics here.
Forever. And if people do not forget that extinction is forever, they will be crying about what they could have done instead of now shouting about what can be done.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, cats really are such majestic animals, and I mean, really, all wildlife is very special in its own right, and we really do need to show some respect for our fellow beings to really appreciate how amazing we are as human beings and how we can be when we're not acting out as sociopaths as some people are. We've only got a few minutes left on the show. Unfortunately, we can't see Lynn's face today on this show. We've had a few issues with the webcam, so that's why you've been seeing me the whole time. However, there's plenty of photos of Lynn on the internet, so you can always Google Lynn Santer and see some lovely photos of Lynn on there, and some photos with big cats that she's very passionate about. And you had your own group as well there for a while, Lynn, where you were helping the big cats, and you were doing a whole lot of fundraising events yourself as well.
It wasn't my group, but I was doing work from Australia for a group that didn't have a presence in this country, the Africa Foundation.
Right.
Based in Namibia in Southwest Africa, which I'm still loosely connected to. Yes, so that's another group they're mainly involved in rescue, rehabilitation and relocation of the big cats in that area, as opposed to the more global issues that the Born Free and the Shamballa groups are involved in. But yeah, I was involved with them from when I was in the UK between 94 and 99. And then when I came back to Australia, I was their presence here in Australia from 99 through to the end of 2000, and then branched off in other directions, but I'm still connected to them as well.
So that's some great work you did there as well. And so yeah, really, there's no excuse not to take action. We can all do something about this. We can all help get the word out, raise money for this film. It'd be fantastic to see it up and going. So you just really need 200,000 to just get it started, to get it rolling. Is that correct? Yeah. And then, yeah, 200,000 US to get it started, and that will be amazing. And you've got some fantastic names: Priscilla Presley, Tippi Hedren. Priscilla, of course, is Elvis's former wife, and Tippi Hedren's the mother of
animal lover and wildlife activist herself, and a very good friend.
Yes, very good friend of yours. And Tippi Hedren, who's the mother of Melanie Griffith and Dakota, or grandmother of Dakota Johnson, who's doing very well in Hollywood. So, and she was also the star of The Birds in the Alfred Hitchcock movie as well, when she was attacked by ravens. She told me in the Facebook Live interview I did, not by crows, they were ravens that attacked her in that film. And amazing lady. She's in her 80s, and she looks about 60. She's amazing.
Just turned 87 a couple of days ago.
Just turned 87 a few days ago. Happy birthday, Tippi, in America, if you're watching this. And she really amazing lady, very inspiring, and it's fantastic to see someone with such clout in Hollywood getting behind this and doing such a great job over there.
Oh, and
so we do need to
fearless and determined and passionate, and I love her to death.
Yes. So if you've been watching this and you're moved at all by what you're hearing, and I mean, really, this is just a snippet. I mean, go to YouTube, watch Land of the Free, and you'll get a much better idea. Also, check out Lynn Santer.
Going to YouTube to search Land of the Free, be sure to put Lynn Santer, because if you just put Land of the Free, you're going to get the American national anthem. But if you put Land of the Free, well, that's why we've called it Land of the Free. So call it Land of the Free, Lynn Santer, then you'll find it.
Excellent. Good point. Okay, so Land of the Free, Lynn Santer. Now we've just hit 1 o'clock. I know you've got another meeting shortly. Lynn, is there any final words you'd like to say to wrap up our show today?
Don't think you are helpless, and don't think you can't watch. Everyone is strong, everyone is empowered, everyone can make a difference. If every one of you thinks, I'll leave that to somebody else to do you know what will happen? Nothing. So it's a call to arms. Whether you donate money, whether you become a volunteer with one of these groups, whether you help us get our funding together for the film, whatever your method of getting involved, there is something you can do to make a difference. And never ever forget that every drop does make up the ocean.
Yes, that's beautiful. Well said, Lynn. And everyone can take action for animals, even in small ways. If we all just take one action, what one action can you take today to take action for animals to make a difference? Imagine if we all just did that, what a difference we would make on the planet. Thank you so much, Lynn. And as they say, there's a great quote actually by Margaret Mead that I have at the bottom of each of my emails in my signature, and it is: a small group of people can change the world, thoughtful people. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. So a small group of thoughtful people can change the world. So if you're watching this, no doubt you are a thoughtful person, and we very much appreciate it. Thanks so much, Lynn. Connect with us on social media, lynnsanter.com. Go to YouTube, Land of the Free, and search Lynn Santer, Land of the Free, and you will see the video and what's really going on. That's a great documentary there, and now the push is for a feature film and to really impact this area and to get this disgusting act of animal cruelty that's legal, of hunting these big game, to be banned. That's really the goal. And to preserve our big cats, which are critically endangered, to preserve them for future generations and for the livelihood of the most beautiful animal on the planet, one of the most beautiful animals on the planet. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm Aldwyn Altuney. You can connect with me personally on all the social media. Just Google me, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Instagram and YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We'd love to see your comments and feedback too, so please put them at the bottom of this YouTube video and share this video with your friends. Any comments, questions, connect with Lynn Santer or myself, and you can also connect with me personally at aaxpose.com. Just Google me, you'll see all of that, and Google Lynn Santer. Thank you so much, Lynn, for the great work you do, and thank you for your time. Thank you so much for being on the show. And thank you to everyone who's been watching and who will be doing your bit to help the animals of the planet. Thanks so much. We'll be
Happy Australia Day.
And Happy Australia Day coming up this week. Happy Australia Day, which is actually tomorrow. Happy Australia Day tomorrow. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks again, and have a great day wherever you are in the world. Bye for now.
Bye.